Okay, hello everybody. This is Dirt, and here is a map that I created on my whiteboard at school of the HRP route, the haute Pyrenees route. I'll be mispronouncing towns and mispronouncing French words, so my apologies in advance. But as you can see, this is in miles, and it's one continuous map of the major towns that you go through, as well as a altitude profile. So what I'd like to do is I'll point out some of the highlights, and then we can zero in on the details. This will probably be pretty dull for people who don't really need to know all these little details, and unfortunate for people who prefer kilometers. But for anybody that wants to see an overview of the HRP using miles in one continuous route, this might be handy. Okay, so it starts in Hendaye on the Atlantic Ocean, and it finishes in Bagnols-sur-Mer on the Mediterranean. The altitude, as you can see, varies up to about 3,000 meters at the high point, and of course sea level at the beginning and the end. The major towns that you go through are at about 100 miles, you hit Lescun. At about 174 miles, you hit Gavarnie. Salerdue at 270 miles. Hospitalet at 343. You can resupply in Beaucaire at 367. And then it ends at about 465. All of this information is from the Tom Martin Cicerone guidebook, and I think it's about a 2020 version. It's 465 miles when I added it all up. He divided it up into 45 days. You look at the bottom, you can see each of the 45 days and the approximate mileage along the way. I've seen other estimates as high as 520 miles, so your mileage may vary. So in terms of the altitude, you can see this here. You're looking at sea level, and not too bad. You do hit Orly at mile 70-something, and then it gets very mountainous through the Ossau and Vignemale region. That's probably one of the hardest places. It continues to be challenging through east of Salerdue. This trail is roughly west to east. Once you've hit Carlit, there's only one major mountain that follows, and that's Canigou at 2784 meters. And then for the last, from 413 to 465, it looks like a pretty much a downhill ride to the end of the road. I'm just going to go over each of the towns and where you might be able to resupply. This is all according to the guidebook. Even at mile 31, there's a shop in Erescun, in Aldudes. Boy, I bet I'm pronouncing all these wrong. There's a good food store. There's a restaurant at 72. You can resupply totally in Lescun. I'm sure I'll be spending a night at a hotel there if I can manage it, because that's 100 miles in. And then there's hostels, restaurants, and refuges moving along. And it doesn't look like anything that is a resupply, just lots of meals. But when you hit Gavarnie, you have everything that you could possibly need, including gas, etc. Hayas has a hostel. There's supermarkets in Parzan at 202. Portillon is a refugio, and then you're at the high point and about halfway at mile 233 at this point. You hit Salerdue at mile 270. They have everything. 285, there's a refugio. And I think they said it gets a little thinner here. In fact, they talked about a detour route to Tavascan, if I'm not mistaken, for resupply. At 343, there's an important tiny food shop because there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of genuine resupply right on the trail. And then at 367 in Beaucaire, there's a good shop. And if you look here, here's where the sort of food stops along the way are, if that's handy for you. You know, I should point out that I have not done this trail. There's probably people who can talk about it who've done it many times. This is just what I found on the map. And then it finishes at Bagnols-sur-Mer. At that point, I'll be meeting my girlfriend, and I'll be spending a week in the Costa Brava. So this is an overview of the HRP. I'll be starting it on about June 26th, and I have planned 32 days for it. We'll see how that works out. I welcome any comments you might have, and this is Dirt signing off.